Hello everybody, Andrew Field here. I know it's been a long time since I've made any sort of video. Um, I've still been following politics, but it's just been really hard for me to follow it as consistently as I was in making those videos. So I've taken a long break from doing that just because it's just so depressing, the headlines with everything going on. But I've still been following politics. And like millions of people, I was watching the debate tonight. I feel like everybody else, I didn't have high expectations. I wasn't thinking it was going to be a good debate. I didn't think either candidate was going to come out very competent or exceed my expectations. And somehow that debate was worse than I could have ever imagined. Um, I went on Twitter during the debate to see what other Americans around the country were saying, and everybody was saying the same thing. Out of 350 million Americans that live in this country, how are these the best two candidates that we have? And these are the same candidates that we had in 2020. This is the second election in a row that we have had these two candidates. They're not popular. They're old. If I had it my way, neither of these candidates would be able to run for president. Donald Trump and Joe Biden are both too old, I think, to be able to run for president in general. Um, Joe Biden is 81 years old and Donald Trump is 78 years old. It's ridiculous. Both of them will be over 80 years old by the end of their next term, where they'd be elected again. You know, everybody's seen it. Biden tries to say the facts, but he can't speak. Donald Trump couldn't read facts if it was written on note cards that he was reading off. That's how much he was lying. I've never seen him lie so much in such a short span of time. The accusations that he was trying to say that Biden's a Manchurian candidate, that, you know, he kept talking about make America great again. He kept going back to immigration and talking about, the same horrible racist rhetoric of millions of criminals and people escaping from prison, crossing the border and raping women. It's just so horrible, you know, talking so badly about immigrants and wanting to kick immigrants out of the country and not allow immigrants. Just so ridiculous. And then you got Biden on the other hand, who can't, say a clear remark. He was fumbling on stage. Both candidates are trying to get sound bites in. They couldn't give each other a handshake. This is why this country is so divisive. These two candidates couldn't even shake hands. I forgot that people used to do that at debates, and then I saw somebody mention it online. I was like, yeah, they're supposed to shake hands and try and show some sort of decency. It's just, it's frustrating because I had such low expectations, and I feel like they couldn't have even met that. It was just back and forth. They were going back and forth, even though, talk about how bad CNN did at moderating. They at least made it so that the other person wasn't supposed to be able to talk, and they cut the microphones off and everything else. But you know, they still were going back and forth at each other, and I can't fathomably believe that these are the best two candidates that we have to offer as America. We talk about how we're the greatest country in the world. We're not. We talk about how, you know, we're supposed to be this light, this beacon of hope, and yet this is what we're watching as Americans. The world is laughing at us. I found it very ironic when Trump was saying how, you know, he said a comment talking about how the world was laughing at us. And as I'm sitting there watching the debate, I'm thinking, yes, the world is laughing at us more than they ever have, because they're looking at these two candidates on the debate stage with nobody around them and thinking, wow, this is who they have to choose from the second time in a row. And this time's even worse because the previous time you had in 2020, coming off of Trump's term, you had Biden, who didn't run for president before because he didn't run in 2016, and him stepping up to try and say he wants to face Trump. But I don't understand why he's not stepping down and not allowing someone else. I know that, when someone's running on a re-election campaign, usually it goes well. But I just I don't know if I've said this in a previous video. I know that I've talked about how I don't support Trump. I'm not a fan. I hate Trump. I'd rather die than write down supporting him and voting for him in this next election. That's how much I despise him. I won't vote for a racist, vile, horrible person that he is. But with Biden, I voted for Biden in 2020 to help beat Trump, but between, this horrible war that he's supporting with Israel, killing innocent Palestinians, and all the ceaseless, horrible destruction going on over there, and this unrelenting support of Israel, which is just horrible, and the weapons that we're supplying them. And he was touting that on the debate stage when the issue came up. It didn't come up for very long, but talking about how, greatly he's supporting Israel at the fault of Palestinians, talking about giving everything besides basically like cluster bombs. It's like, you're really going to say that? But yeah, that's basically how the debate was going. And then Trump followed that up with an even worse comment saying that because he was trying to say that Charlottesville and any comments that he made that were negative, he was trying to just say they never happened or they were flat out lies, like he always does, but somehow worse this time around. But he said in his closing remarks, I believe, he always makes some crazy comparisons, but he compared Charlottesville with neo-Nazis with torches and swastikas. That whole horrible thing that happened in Charlottesville. He was saying it was 100 times worse. These protests of pro-Palestinian people who, or you could say pro-Palestinian people and anti-war people that are we're coming together to talk about trying to get America to not financially or just you know offer support at all to Israel or this genocide that's going on to the Palestinian people. And it's bad enough that we're supporting them, but that we're actually sending ammunition and weapons to Israel to fund this. It's crazy. And he's trying to say it's 100 times worse in Charlottesville. That's what he said in his closing remarks. You know, I don't know. I mean, as bad as Trump is, I just, between his support with Israel and supporting a genocide, and I know he hasn't had a great presidency, you know, that's obvious. Not like Trump had a great presidency either, but I don't think, in my opinion, I don't think Biden had a great presidency either. But just his age, like, he wasn't able to say things very well on the stage. You could tell his age very clearly during this debate. And it's just like, if you're seeing this now, what is he going to look like 2 years from now, 3 years from now? If he were president, would he be able to function well enough? And I can't answer that. I can't answer that with enough confidence, I feel like, to give him my vote. So right now, it's tough because I feel like if I don't vote, then if Trump wins, it's my fault. But I don't feel like I can confidently support Biden. It's just so frustrating. And seeing how, like, so on social media, thousands and if not millions of Americans saying the same thing watching this debate. These are the best two candidates we have. I don't want to support either one. You know, both are bad, but this one's slightly better. Like, there's got to be better candidates. There has to. I have to believe that there are better candidates out there that could step in tomorrow, announce that they're running for president, and save us from this catastrophe that either one of them are going to put us in. I know a lot of people feel the same way. I've seen the comments, I've seen people talk about. That's why politics are so divisive, because most people don't like either of these candidates. It was bad enough in 2020, but it's 10 times worse now because at least before in 2020, it was between the MAGA extremist Republican part of America and the Democratic Party. But now a lot of Democrats like me are just saying it should we really support Biden for a re-election. I'm just disappointed. I really am. I just, it's tough out here. This is such a bad political landscape right now for America. Um, it's really frustrating. Like Congress and the Supreme Court aren't bad enough. We have to deal with this horrible presidency options. I don't mean to ramble. I just wanted to give my thoughts immediately after watching. There's a lot. I could, dive deeper into, the fact that, for one, they didn't try to fact check them too much, the moderators. That was poor, very poor. The most that they did, besides, cutting off the other microphone, was asking, if they wanted to use their time, but half the time they wouldn't even answer the questions, and half the time, they were going back and not answering the questions because every time they were going back and using half, if not most, or all of their time to answer a previous question that should have already been done with. Some issues they didn't talk much about at all, like childcare or climate change. And, Trump was just immigration, 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 illegal immigrants. And Biden was just, talking about the insulin statistic and just on and on and on. And Biden was trying to say it, his personal attacks on Trump, and it was so, there was no decency. There was, you know, not a lot of competency, not a lot of stuff to give you confidence in either candidate. Except if you're racist, then Trump gave you a good amount to go off of there. Um, I just it's a very tough argument. I feel like for either of these candidates, I don't feel like you can make an argument for Trump. That's my opinion, based on what he's done and what he said. But for Biden, it's getting more and more tough for me. So, I'd be very interested to hear your thoughts. Um, you know, yeah. Unfortunately, this was a very terrible debate, and I hope it shows America how bad our options really are. But hopefully somebody will step up and save us. All right, like I said, please comment your thoughts of the debate, and I'll talk to you all in the next video. Have a good night, guys.